Kyle Crane is back, and this time he's unleashing the beast. I've been playing a lot of the new Dying Light adventure, and whilst a lot of things remain the same, there are a ton of new mechanics and systems that you should know about and avoid making the same mistakes that I did. Let's go!
Finally.
Once the open world opens up, the first thing you should be doing is finding as many safe houses or safe zones as possible and unlocking them. Now, most of these in Dying Light and the Beast are actually high up. There's a lot of lookout towers and tall buildings is where you'll find them. The best way to locate these is with your trusty binoculars, the same as it was in Dying Light 2. And when you do find a location, it will like highlight it and unlock it on your map so you'll be able to see it. Something to note is that basically the whole map, minus a couple of exceptions, is available to you at the very start of the game, and there's really nothing stopping you from going into those high-level zones and unlocking these safe houses. So you've got these places to fall back on, as well as the XP that comes with unlocking them. And then when you do unlock them as well, it gives you a place to sleep, so you can then fast forward to morning or night if you want to go out at night. But it also gives you a blueprint or a piece of armor, some sort of a new thing for unlocking them, which is very beneficial as you're just trying to build out your kit in the early stages of the game. So getting those blueprints to say unlock like new throwables or new pieces of gear and upgrades is definitely beneficial, and just having these safe spots that you can return to when night does hit, very, very beneficial. Now, the next thing you should really focus on is upgrading Kyle and finding better gear. Now, getting better gear is a core part of the game, whether that be the weapons, the armor, the blueprints, and a few other things like the unique items that you can get from some quests. Like there is the remote detonator you can get from completing your first substation side quest. This is a side quest that you can't miss, as it just gets you a call on the radio when it does become available. Then you can go and unlock that first substation. When you do hand that quest in, you'll get a remote detonator, so you can then detonate the traps in the region that you have unlocked, as those substations will turn the power on in certain regions. And then while you're in that like general vicinity, you'll have new traps that you can actually turn on night or day that can really help you clear out some of the fodder infected that do spawn. All side quests will tell you what you can get from them before you've actually completed them, just by hovering over it on the map or in the journal screen. So you can kind of decide roughly, what you're looking for. For example, there is a side quest that unlocks a pretty decent crossbow that you can get once you unlock one of the safe houses in one of the early zones. There's a side quest that'll spawn there, as the NPC will spawn after that fact, and he'll give you the quest, which is a difficult quest, so don't go and run out and do that quest, but it's just an example. Otherwise, I would be suggesting to go and do a lot of the activity zones. Like, just do these zones at least once. Doing them once will net you the unique reward that you can view on the map, whether that be a piece of gear or a blueprint, whatever it is. There is a lot of other resources and materials you'll get from doing so, but after that point, if you wait about a day, you will be able to go back into those zones and just farm the resources again. The unique item won't be there, but you'll be able to get more of those resources if you're, say, chasing certain resources to upgrade certain things. It's another way to get them, but definitely do those zones at least once to get that unique reward. You can always track them on the map as well, as once you have completed a zone, it'll have a little tick to say that you've actually picked up that unique reward from that specific dark zone or activity, whatever it is. Unlike previous Dying Light games, you cannot manually increase your stamina, and the only way you can is by leveling up. It's the same with health as well. Stamina is the most important resource in Dying Light games in general, as you use it for parkour, but you also use it for basically every combat interaction. Like, running out of stamina will happen a lot in the early game, and until you get used to how fast you drain it, as well as just timing your attacks to make sure you give an ample amount of time for that stamina regen to occur, it's really important that you understand how critical stamina is, as running out just essentially makes you a sitting duck for all sorts of attacks. As yes, you can like back up and sort of do like a half dodge and get away a little bit, but realistically, you're essentially just standing there waiting for that stamina to regen so you can actually do something. Now, the fastest way to level up really is just by doing content, right? Like, quests will definitely net you a ton of experience, so well worth doing, but you can also buy the experience gear that the vendor at the town hall sells. This is a solid early game armor that, yes, it doesn't have a lot of gear like armor stat value, but getting an extra 12% experience when you're wearing that full set is really nothing to sneeze at, especially in the early game when you're just trying to level up quickly. Extra 12% XP is fantastic. Also, at night, all experience is doubled, so anytime you're out at night, obviously be careful of chasers and the volatiles, more on the night in a little bit, but you will get double experience from everything. And something to note is that if you do main quests at night, typically these are scripted events that don't contain a lot of volatiles because they're quite, handcrafted linear experiences, but you'll just get double experience experience for all of the enemies that you defeat in those encounters, but you won't see a lot of volatiles. Obviously, getting to the main quest and leaving the main quest, definitely be careful then, but it's just a good way to get some extra XP if, say, you aren't afraid of going out at night. While there isn't a lot of skills to choose from here, there is one major tip that I have for you here, and that is to progress through the skill trees rather than try and grab every skill. Focus on getting the main skills that you want further in the tree rather than grabbing, say, both options, as when that skill tree diverges, you only need to get one option to then progress further up the tree. Say if you're trying to chase some of those higher level skill points, I definitely recommend to do that. One of the best skills to get in the early game is the beast controlled skill that allows you to decide when beast mode triggers. Once that bar is full, it won't automatically trigger anymore. It means you can save this for boss fights or tough infected. Really good value, because the beast mode is kind of just like a win button. Like it's like an ultimate ability. You just win any encounter that you trigger the beast mode. So saving it for boss fights and tough encounters can really help you out, and actually being able to trigger it when you want to trigger it is super beneficial. Something to note as well when you're looking at this skill screen, on PC it's if you press Z, but on the bottom left you'll see the prompt to bring up your prior skill sets. This is a list of all of the standard like parkour skills that you already have at the start of the game, like say wall running, etc. So it's worth familiarizing yourself with this to understand what you can actually do before you've even unlocked the skills. There's a lot of the skills, not all of them, but a lot of the skills from previous games that you might have had to unlock, you already have them automatically, as you know, Carl remembers a little bit, I guess, from Dying Light 1. He forgot how to drop kick though, which is a bit odd. The night is dark and full of terrors again, and chases are definitely harder in the Beast compared to Dying Light 2, as volatiles just they're everywhere. Like they are literally just everywhere, and even at a chase level 1, you're going to get like multiple volatiles chasing you. Now, I do recommend to play around with the night in the early stages of the game. Once you have a feel for, say, the parkour mechanics and you've got a solid weapon, and just see how you go. Like, especially when you're in Old Town, there's plenty more buildings and height that you can use, say, climb up high ground, or, you know, just get away from the volatiles by weaving through the buildings, compared to, say, when you're out in the wilderness when there's like nothing in between you and the volatiles. Doing what we discussed in tip 1 and having as many of those safe houses open is definitely beneficial, because those UV lights will absolutely save your skin. If you do want to try and kill a volatile, I wouldn't recommend it, especially in the early game. It's definitely plausible, like I've done it. Your best bet is to set a bunch of traps, Molotovs, try and avoid getting close to the volatile or aggroing a pack, try and isolate one. But it's really not the main reason to be out at night. It's because of that double experience that you get. But there are also things like the volatile nest and the other exclusive events that only occur at night that can net you a ton of really good rewards. So it's definitely worth familiarizing yourself with the night, but also don't feel like you have to. Other than a couple of heavily like scripted events where that forces you to go out at night, you don't really have to. So if you do or just want to stay to the day, you definitely can. Just like in Dying Light 2, you never need to craft lockpicks, because you can exit the lockpick minigame and just re-enter it, and it resets your lockpick health, and the sweet spot won't actually change. I've tested this. It's exactly the same as it was in Dying Light 2. Essentially how this works is your lockpick takes about 8 like misses to break. Now, if you say get to like 5 misses from the sweet spot, if you just exit out in the minigame and enter back in, your lockpick's health will reset and you'll get like those like 8 tries back again. So you don't really need to craft them. They are cheap to craft, only cost you like scrap, but just ultimately it's just a fun little tip that you just never need to craft them. So I'm surprised that that made it into this game as well. When you're looking to upgrade your gear and your equipment, there's a few things to think of. Firstly, we'll talk about how the enhancement like upgrade system works, and then we'll talk about enhancing the weapons specifically. So new to Dying Light the Beast are these manual pages that you'll use to increase the quality of your craftables, like your blueprints, as well as any weapons that you can craft at the workbench. The first thing you should upgrade, hands down, is the bandage. You should make the bandage at least as high as you can go. In the early game, you'll only be able to get it to blue, but once you hit level 6, you'll start seeing intermediate manual pages, even at the locations where you previously saw the beginner pages, as actually tied to your level as to what pages will show for you. So once you hit level 6, you'll see intermediate pages. You'll be able to get it to epic quality, and then you can start focusing on other things. Personally, I like to level up the Molotov as early as possible as well, because it's a quiet way that you can AoE take out infected enemies. It's really good for that, and just, you know, general fodder as well. And then I would look at, say, upgrading your weapon tiers. If you, say, use a specific crafted weapon, you could then upgrade that. But that's sort of the general path that I have gone. You can also, say, if you've got a bunch of the beginner manual pages, you can actually improve them to intermediate as well. There'll be a new option that'll appear in in your workbench once you have unlocked it. So for your weapons themselves, there's a few things to think about. Firstly, resources are just so critical. Like we already talked about earlier in the video about doing those activity zones to get those resources. You can buy them from the vendor stock as well. It does refresh regularly. It doesn't give you a ton, but it's definitely an option as well because you'll have more cash than you'll know what to do with really. So it's just a good way to spend it in the early game. Weapon upgrading is cheaper than recrafting that same item. So if you've got like a crafted blueprint, if you upgrade it to say, you crafted it at level 3 and now you're level 6, upgrading it is actually cheaper for the most part than just recrafting it. However, when you do improve the quality like we were talking about in the previous section, you will want to recraft it for the extra benefits because it will come with extra mod slots, extra durability, etc. So do keep that in mind. And don't forget about adding mods, especially charms as well. Like there's a good charm you can get that can just give you some base XP, which is worth grabbing as well. Some combat tips before we go. Use the environment to your advantage. There are often a lot of traps like we talked about earlier with the traps that you can activate, but then there are things like spiked barrels, etc. and just generally like high ground is the best advantage you can get. Use a bow from the high ground to like weed out the fodder in a lot of encounters as well, as you can often 1 to 2 shot some of the general like fodder infected. Decoys are just as OP here as they were in the previous Dying Light games. You can use it to group up the infected, drop a Molotov on them, and it'll just melt them away. Grenades make a little too much noise for my liking, so I wouldn't use them too much, but they do deal a solid amount of damage. And I did mention it earlier, but stamina management is just so critical to your success. Now, the higher levels you get, this will become less important because you just generally have more stamina, and you can get some gear that can lower stamina costs, etc. as well. But it's definitely the most important thing to your overall success in Dying Light the Beast and Dying Light in general is your stamina usage. But let me know any cool tips and things you found in the comments down below. I'm still trying to find all the treasure maps. If you have found any treasure maps and the solutions, do put them in the comments, as I think it's a fun thing that we can all help each other out with. But thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.